SNL's Pete Davidson in crisis? The toll of a social media troll. Kanye, Drake, and Ariana Grande feud? Stars spark mental health debate. Inside CBS's secret $9.5 million MeToo payoff. SAG snubs, what it means for the state of the Oscar race. All this and more on Meet the Hollywood Press for December 16th, 2018. I'm Jordan Burchette, filling in for Alina Vission, and now your host of Meet the Hollywood Press, Joseph Kapsch.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Meet the Hollywood Press. Welcome, Jordan Burchette.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great opening. You learned it in like 30 seconds. This guy's a pro, and you're feeling a little under the weather, so I thank you for being a trooper.
Oh, we're gonna power right through this.
We really are. We got a lot to cover. So anyway, thanks for coming by.
You got it. Thank you.
I want to welcome my panel. I'm very excited. I'm fanboying out right now. We have Glozell here, everybody. Glozell is in the building.
Hello.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming by.
Hello, Miss Glozell. Is you okay? Is you good? Because I want to know. I'm excited to be here.
To be here, good.
Yes.
And we also welcome Bryant, social media expert who's currently with Bravo. You've also worked. You were Oprah ambassador, and then one more. I'm dropping it right now. There was someone else recently that you worked for.
E.T. His list goes on and on.
Alex, welcome. You bring a lot of expertise, and especially today because we're going to be talking a lot of social media's impact on what's going on.
So much.
Woo. Yes, but really quickly, just because I want to bring viewers up to speed, not that they should know, considering you've got like 4 million follower account on your YouTube, but you interviewed Obama.
Yes.
I remember it like it was
While he was president, yes.
Yes, and I was going down a Glozell rabbit hole when I was doing my research for. But I want to run a clip really quickly because she got 10 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was a handful, kind of like the height when like YouTube was like, it's all about YouTube.
Yes.
And you were like up high. You were sort of on the front end of that. I want to run a clip really quick from your Obama interview.
Okay, thank you.
3 family members who are in the law enforcement, and my husband who painted that. Yes. He's retired from the Air Force.
Well, we're grateful for his service. You tell him thank you.
I will do that.
Okay.
However, he's mad at me right now because I cut all the hoods off his hoodies. I did that for real
understand.
To protect him because I'm afraid when he goes outside that somebody might shoot and kill him. And it's not like regular folks, it's the popo. I hope that this changes. How can we bridge the gap between black African-American males and white cops?
Well, first of all,
coming back in from that.
We always have to just remind ourselves.
So
such a serious
subject.
I miss presidents.
I miss presidents.
Remember when we had those?
Coherent questions answered in a coherent manner. Yes, we do miss that. But now the interesting thing about that, really quickly, you hit some really hard topics with him and did it with grace. He answered all. I was so impressed and to rewatch that, but you are also known for your funny viral videos, and I'm going to play one of my absolute favorite, and then we will get to the topics today, but this is Glozell doing her world famous Oprah, I Love Bread, Weight Watchers.
This is the joy for me. I love bread. I love bread. I love bread. I love bread. I now just manage it so I don't deny myself bread. I eat bread every day. Okay. I love bread on Monday.
Okay. So anyway, I had to show the audience
the full spectrum, the full Glozell spectrum on display.
Full Glozell. Anyway, a fanboy here. I've always watched your stuff. I'm such a pleasure to have you here.
You.
And with that, but I wanted to bring my viewers up to speed in case there was anyone that didn't know about all of the range of things that you're doing. And you also recently filmed a movie like with Taraji.
Yes, we're both in Wreck-It Ralph too.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, so please, it's still in the theaters now. Go and watch several times. That'd be great.
Multi-talented.
Yes, thank you.
So from a light Oprah moment, we're going to jump into some more serious fare. Okay, so Pete Davidson.
Oh my goodness.
First of all, prayers and thoughts, just because he's obviously going through something. So to bring viewers up to speed really quickly, Pete Davidson yesterday posted an alarming message on his Instagram, which I think we're bringing up right now, saying basically that, hold on. I'm doing the best to stay here for you, but I actually don't know how much longer I can last. All I've ever tried to do was help people. Just remember I told you so. It set off, Ariana.
And it should.
It should. Alarm bells everywhere. Celebrities tweeting, trying to get a hold. Does anyone know where he is? Does anyone know where he is? She even rushed over to his apartment.
I heard that.
It was just an outpouring of support. But, going back to give people some background here, after the breakup with Ariana, Pete had been getting bullied, cyberbullied, for months about the breakup and just various other things. He's a comedian. He goes out on a limb. So
Right, he should get it. And it's really hard to go, wait a minute, him? Because if he can feel this way, anybody can. Because here he is on a top show.
Yes.
He's got a great career. He's been connected to top women.
Yeah.
You are the one that can make it through anything.
Exactly.
So you think.
So after he posted it, even like the authorities did a check, like a sanity check to make sure he was okay. I want to just start with this first question to kick off the conversation and basically sort of say, okay, so he has documented his mental illness, that he does suffer mental illness. He's been very public about that. But now this is sort of like it's suicidal. And by the way, I should tell you guys and viewers, the comments were even hideous because in this message where he said he didn't want to be in the world, instead of people sort of being, there were actually internet trolls in there saying, do it. Like, take your life.
Encouraging, that's
encouraging him to do it. Like, that's where we're at sort of here with the discourse. So I want to start with this question. Glozell, take it first, and then I want to hear from you, Alex. But, how much do you think the actual social media bullying really does play a role here in these kind of problems for celebrities like Pete?
Well, if there's any kind of mental illness going on, I would think that is something that would tilt you over to the other side.
Yeah.
Because anybody else, I'm like, how can you? Like I said, he's on a show. He's the epitome of success.
Yes.
And, and you're like, someone saying something negative about you and you're a comedian where you talk about people like that's what you do.
Yes.
So it just shows you that everybody has a side and everybody has a weakness.
Yeah.
And if there's mental illness, you got to take it serious, which I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yes. Now, Alex, you in some of your jobs you've had to be present on the internet to really know the temperature of what's going on, both the good and the bad for what you've done. What is your feeling sort of about what I just, the same question here? Like, how much of a role does that take? How much of a toll with trolls just sort of pounding away on a celebrity day to day?
It is. It's also very effective. Just some of the roles I've had is how to filter some of that too.
Yes.
But also be aware that that's out there as well, but not let that be so controlling.
Yes.
I would also bring up the part about, everyone's human, everyone has weaknesses, just like Glozell said. And it's also to be treatment's also available. It helps also out there as well. It's not just so much negativity, but also the positives also there too.
So critics of social media, and Jordan, I want to bring you in on this too. Critics of this do say that this kind of this is the downside of social media. Okay.
Right.
I want to flip it on its ear and see what you guys think though. But do you think there actually is an upside to this because had Pete not had this outlet and he sort of was internalizing what was going on, you wouldn't have sort of it's almost like it's both a downside and upside because here you have trolls bullying you into feeling like you want to hurt yourself, but then you have, the minute you kind of come out about it, you have all of this outpouring of love and support to help you. So do we see that as an upside?
It's interesting because those of us who still remember a time when there wasn't an internet,
right?
Yeah,
cling to notions of how things kind of used to be. If you're total digital native from the start, you were born around the time Pete Davidson was born, for instance. You don't have anything in an analog to which you can compare this. I think about somebody was out on the sidewalk and making these declarations. Can you imagine a throng of people around saying yeah, do it, man, kill yourself? If it's real life. But the luxury you have being anonymous or being chipping this stuff in on the internet, it's a totally different dynamic. I don't know if it's better. Because what would the alternative have been?
Yeah.
Could he have sought help from, I don't know, more meaningful sources to him than the open platform of Twitter.
And you can't turn it off.
No.
Yeah, every time you're on the television or your phone or it's everywhere.
Now coming up in social media where
Yes.
you got your start on YouTube, how much do you pay attention to like the comments and like does that take a toll? Like if you're honest, like does it bother you?
Of course it bothers you, but you have to make sure that you know they're going to do that.
Yes.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen to everybody. So it's always shocking to someone like me when I'm like, wow, you're on SNL. What comedian doesn't want to be on SNL?
Yes.
And here you are, young, and the epitome of life here, and it's still shocking that, wow, he is still a human, and if it gets to him, it can get to me. You got to stay on top of your mind. You got to keep yourself uplifted all the time because anything can happen. You've got to be prepared to have that strong armor of protection for yourself.
I mean, he's been through a lot already before all of this. I mean, his dad was the first responder on 9/11. He died.
His father, Pete Davidson's father, is a first responder in New York and actually died during 9/11. He's been very public about that too, and he is also in recovery. He is a recovering addict, plus the mental disorder. So, I mean, the kid sort of survived a lot to even get to the point, like you said, the dream of any comedian out there. But I think this break, Ariana, sort of a global superstar, dating her threw him into
another stratosphere.
Yes. And I think. And again, we're going to get to this because it plays into sort of Kanye also with this mental illness and social media crossover that we're talking about. That is it more than, like you're saying, or because we're not going to do an armchair diagnosis, none of us are psychiatrists, but do you think it does play into how you're feeling healthy as a person, regardless if you're a celebrity or not? The social media is not going to affect you, or are you saying it can still take a toll?
I think it still can take a toll on you. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
It depends on the individual, right? Maybe some people are able to sort of shrug that stuff off more, while others take it more personally.
If it just keeps coming at you, you have to turn it off. You have to just unplug and then rejuvenate somehow.
So after this all happened, this was Saturday morning, and he was due at work, okay? So he ended up going to SNL. He didn't appear really in skits last night, but just for a brief moment introduced Miley Cyrus, right? How much do we think, in an overarching question, does NBC and SNL have, how much of a responsibility is it for them, with him being their staffer, that they need to be making sure that he is taken care of?
They need to make sure that he's taken care of 100% because they have a history with SNL of comedians dying, killing themselves. Like there's a tragedy that follows some of the top comedians that's been on that show for years.
You know, you just reminded me of that actually.
For
I didn't
years.
actually think of that. That actually has been like a chronic sort of curse with SNL.
It's true.
Do you think that that's something to be said?
For Belushi to go on? I mean, it's a lot.
Yes, Belushi. And the one with the wife,
Hartman.
Phil Hartman.
Yes.
Yeah, awful. Do you think that comedy then for some people is an outlet because they're actually polar opposite of like
100%. Comedians, because I've started off doing stand-up with comedians, you're laughing at us. You're laughing at our life, and we're like, oh, yeah. But then after all, you're laughing at our heartaches. Let me tell you about how poor I used to be. Or my mama used to beat me, and blah, blah, ha, ha. You are talking about, it's like going to therapy, and your therapist is just laughing at you and heckling at your life, and you're making a living off of this, but you're still human, and you can't turn it off.
Some of the best
with
jokes.
The social media now, you cannot turn it off. Before you can, you're like, okay, I'm done with my
Pete
job.
Davidson's best jokes are about 9/11.
Wow.
They are.
Wow.
So, okay, so one more question on this, and then we're going to move on to this Kanye, Drake, and how Ariana fits into that. But, okay, so the outpouring of support, which I want to just show a couple with Pete, was swift and beautiful, actually. So, like Jada Pinkett Smith, for instance, tweeted out, Pete Davidson, hang in there. There's a lot of help out there. Basically, surrender to some love wherever you are. Shawn Mendes, be aggressive with love. Love your people. Tell the people. Then it was also Nicki Minaj tweeted out just, to Pete and Kanye, just basically saying how we need to take mental health more seriously.
Did they say what was it that triggered this particular? Is it Ariana?
That's just it. It was like he's been going through the aftermath of the breakeup because they broke up about and she released that video, I guess, about a week or two ago.
Thank you next.
And remember, he was in the burn book part of it. So she said, sorry, I dipped and everything. And then he's just sort of, you know, he's made a couple jokes about it in Weekend Update. But then other than that, this came sort of out of the blue. It was like, I don't think I want to be. But you knew he was, a couple weeks ago, he was honest about that he had been bullied. He did this big post just about, he can't believe like when people get into your business and they don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So he has been kind of upfront that he's been struggling with the breakup. And then all of a sudden this. But this is like another level. This is going like, hey,
So that tweet was to her.
Instagram.
I mean, the Instagram was. Oh, that,
I don't know, because she did show up at the, I mean, what?
And I feel for her too, because there was a bombing at her concert, and then
Mac Miller.
Yeah, he passed away. So she's young too.
She's been, more power to her. She's had ultimate highs this year and ultimate lows in her life, but she's handled it with grace and dignity. The other thing I want to just ask in this, we saw a lot of the beautiful outpouring from celebrities on a positive side after this. But do you think that Hollywood and the people on Twitter, though, are walking the walk on this? Or is it the actual community that's coming to his defense are also creating this discourse along with our president, who creates a lot of negative discourse through Twitter? Do you think that this is like a larger issue to look at, and just how, because you sort of had celebrities come and, oh, Pete, don't do this, but then you think 2 weeks ago they're beefing, saying really kind of nasty things to other celebrities.
As a comedian, I want to joke about folks, but I don't want them to kill themselves.
Yes.
You know, like it's funny until it's like, oh, I thought you was going to, give it back to me. I don't want you to cry.
Yeah.
You know, anybody I talk about, if I'm talking about the Kardashians or anybody, I don't want them to be upset.
No.
Really. You know, I wanted to keep it going, that kind of a thing. So I don't think anybody really wanted him to, go this far.
No, absolutely not. What do you think?
I mean, I think that resonated, actually, what Glozell said resonated with me specifically, that because I've been there things I've written in the past have been subject to some criticism and stuff, but what I want is to be thrown back what I put out there. Like, that's usually how it goes when you're thinking, it's for you're always going for the punchline.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's a clever, it's for the, and we're all in, we're all, then throw another good zinger back at me, and when that doesn't come, then
yeah, I didn't mean
that was real to you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so then quickly let's jump over to anyway, good thoughts to Pete. We hope that he's
definitely
feeling a lot better. But okay, so the other side of this, Ariana got pulled in. Drake and Kanye. I've read through all the articles. Do you even know what they're beefing? I mean, it's about songs. It's about diss things. It's like goes way back. Kanye spent, and I looked at 125 tweets on his history with the Drake thing on Thursday. Okay, this is where this all started. Kanye came out of nowhere and started basically recounting his whole thing, how he's got beef with Drake, right? So then it kept going. Like, literally, Kanye was having a full-on, verbal, diarrhea meltdown on Twitter for a day. Was
Drake coming back at him, or
no?
He was just like, and this, and
another thing. It's just not a thing. Not a thing. And so just going about his business. And so Ariana then and Miley were set to release singles. And so Ariana sent out a tweet just basically saying, now, I know there's two grown men out there beefing, but could you just give us a couple hours to let the girls shine and release our music? Kanye then fired back at her.
I didn't see anything wrong with that.
What he did or she?
No, what she did.
Not at all.
Okay,
because I'm missing about Kanye. I mean, are we trying to make logic out of what he? I mean, he basically said.
She's like, calm down, so we can just drop our songs.
In which case, should she not have had to apologize? Because she did.
She apologized because she's graceful, but it's I don't think she.
Because he was coming after her, right? So
yeah, he came after her. She basically then said, "I'm sorry," because then he couched it on the whole mental illness.
Well, yeah, he
thing.
Guilted her.
Yeah, he basically guilted.
I'm gonna let you finish, but
I gotta put this out there.
But you agree with that, right? It was kind of she didn't even need to apologize to her.
I mean, it's really tough because, if you from a psychological perspective, if you hurt somebody, you might see it as your responsibility to apologize, even if you didn't do something wrong. Right. And maybe that's what she's, the tack she's taking.
So here's what I want to ask. With Kanye putting out 125 tweets, which, by the way, you think at that point, why don't you write a Facebook post and you could put all, instead of 140 characters.
Yeah, that's what Medium's for, bro.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You almost, in this whole thing, no one just said to him, why don't you get on Medium and just write what you need to say? Do you think that the Kanye thing is just like, it's at a point where it's like, because to me that's almost just as alarming as the Pete post. Like the Pete post is like, I don't know if I want to, but Kanye's, it's like a nonstop thing with like zero, like who's in his life? Is there just no way to tell him? And then the minute that it comes push to shove, it's like, I'm mentally ill. Which actually makes a lot of people that actually suffer with mental illness look like it's not, it doesn't shine well upon them, because a person with like because he also said he was I was misdiagnosed. Like we can't even tell, is he bipolar or not bipolar, because he's now saying that
you saying we can't tell.
I guess we can. I mean, here's the thing. Alex, what were you gonna say?
My thing is like, it goes back to like intention. Like, what's the intention? Pete wants to put the post out there, but what was the original? Like, did he plan it to put it out for a certain amount of time and then remove it?
Yeah.
Also with Kanye, if he's going like all these tweets back to back, what is he trying to get out of all this? Just to stir up more things, or is it?
Well, he said that because it's to shine a light on mental illness, because it's not going to not be taken seriously. Because he basically was saying
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's making us talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what people started talking about.
So it's
basically.
like, well, you are a genius, just like your wife said.
Because Nicki Minaj tied Pete to Kanye because she basically said, like, prayers to Pete and Kanye. Mental illness is no joke. I'm paraphrasing here, but I guess the point I'm getting at, though, is like social media overall. Is this a healthy thing that people that are suffering mentally ill are also just throwing up on their keyboards, essentially?
Anything could be, too much of anything is too much.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
My favorite part of this whole thing was reading the New York Times assessment of it all. They were reporting it outright. Journalistically, it was, there's like, and Mr. West then tweeted.
Yes.
But it's like, it's the equivalent of like the journalistic version of, and then he was all like, and then she was all like, she thinks she's cute. But it's in the New York Times.
In the New York Times.
Yeah.
I read that article.
Yeah.
New York Times, that was a time where the news was like you in your suits and everything. But now, social media, that's where it's at. If you want anybody to look at anything. So New York Times?
It is the news. Well, even just the Ariana. Okay, so she ended up apologizing. Guess what? My question, there's not too many questions to ask, but just more. I want to say, is there anything that Hollywood or as an industry whole should be doing? Or is this just, it is what it is? It's a freight train. Social media exists.
It's a freight train because you have freedom of speech and then you have freedom of consequences and then
Yeah.
Just don't say anything.
Is there? Yeah, I don't think
you can't say anything.
Any final thought on that then?
Comedians, I don't know what's going to happen because you can't say anything.
Comedians is such we talked about that on a couple episodes ago. There's such a line now where it's like you don't know what you can say because you offend basically someone with anything that you say nowadays.
Well, right. And it's I think going back to the comment that you made in the last conversation about the volleying of it all.
Yeah.
I've always kind of felt like if you can't make fun of everything, you can't make fun of anything.
Yeah, I almost think you have to be an equal opportunity offender. Mm-hmm. But then who's the people that draw that line? Who draws the line?
We can't have Archie Bunker anymore. We can't even do some of the skits they used to do on Saturday Night Live. One of my favorite ones was Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor. I mean, they took that. You can't even find that one. They go and they end up saying the N-word. It's hilarious, these two. But you can't.
So when then as a comedian and an African American woman, that did not offend you, those kind of skits?
No, I just now learning. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be offended at this, and I'm supposed to because your initial is like, this is funny or laughing.
Yes.
A Saturday Night Live is the dream, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And now at this time, you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be offended by this, and I'm like, why?
Do you think it's almost a culture of though, like, who's the loudest? Gets the most sort of like, what community is the most loudest about what's offensive? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, and this is to digress a little bit, but like the trans community right now, it's not if you actually look at statistics, it's not a large community in terms of the country, but when anything offensive is said, I feel like they're loud, so they get a lot of, okay, that's inappropriate now.
So you're talking about Kevin Hart and the Oscars?
Well, we were talking about that last week, but that's LGBTQ. So
that includes
LGBTQ to a degree, but I'm saying even more so if you get into the niche groups within that community. Right. I do feel for on a lot of issues, gay men have sort of were like back in the 90s fighting for their, it's kind of got where it's like now trans rights is forefront. You know what I'm saying? Do you think there's something you said about the louder you are, the more...
Well, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's just what it is.
Because I kind of feel like even when we've come up and like this year, Crazy Rich Asians get, and this being the year of the Asian, it's almost like the Asian community is more docile and wasn't making noise, where it's like, where's all the representation in Hollywood? But it was like, you didn't really have people like Constant Wu now, who's like on the forefront of making noise about it.
You're right.
So I guess like, is there something who said that, or am I completely off base that it's about making noise?
I'm about to make some noise because I want Crazy Rich Glozell. I need some movies and stuff coming out.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's not about talent anymore. It's about numbers. When you go to auditions or anything, it's like, how many people are following you? How many on your Instagram, your YouTube? So it's about that. It's about getting those numbers and making the noise.
And it's that if you're doing it the honest way, or then it's relationships in Hollywood, because then
that's never going away.
That's never going away.
That's never going away, people.
Because you notice how you'll find these actors or actresses that do all of a sudden get their big break, but they're kind of like, oh, the daughter of blah blah blah, or it's like so. You're right. If you're doing it the honest way, your numbers matter.
There you go.
Unless you have like an in relationship wise. Anyway.
And it takes so much longer.
Moving on.
You have to get more creative and find out. Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to CBS, man. Last week we had a whole, and by the way, our viewers are really responding to this story because we talked about last week how Les Moonves, the big New York Times bombshell article just about how the internal investigation into his sexual misconduct, he was obstructing as it was going along. Now, on the heels of that, this week, New York Times breaks another article about actress Eliza Dushku, who was hired to, she was hired for a multi-episode arc on Bull with Michael Weatherly, and basically with the intention that she was going to become a full-time cast member. She was then, some inappropriate comments from Michael Weatherly were made to her.
That's why I want to make sure, from the guy who plays Bull.
Yes, on set. Which then also led, if you read deeper, that once he said the comments, he said about a threesome, or I'm going to put you in my rape van, like really inappropriate stuff, that then even like a crew member walked over to her after it and goes, I'm with Michael on the threesome thing. So it just was like, basically this girl comes here to just do her job as an actress, and she then decides to go speak about this, how it was inappropriate. The next thing she knows is she's not going to become a cast member. Surprise!
Something.
And when it got escalated to their, like the executive that handles these kinds of mediations, they actually asked Bull to provide tape from the set because, ready for this? Because they wanted tape to actually show that this didn't really happen. What ended up happening was when they pulled the raw tape, it had the harassment on pieces of the tape. They basically...
Did he say it didn't happen?
They were trying to get so the law firm that then looked into this said not only was this anyway...
The woman was lying. That's what they thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, or just they were going to just sweep it under the rug. And then even the executive producer was trying to say, we just don't have a way to write you in now. Like all of a sudden it was like Michael Weatherly, if the article says he then went and basically said, I need to talk to you about Eliza's sense of humor. Is how it was phrased. And by the way, New York Times, man, some incredible journalism being done.
Somebody is everywhere.
Incredible journalism. And whenever it's like she didn't comment for the article, so you already know what that. No, she declined to comment, which means this is absolutely accurate. And so this gets better. So after you read about all of this payment, you don't see fallen, disgraced Les Moonves in the article at all. Deadline Hollywood then the next day breaks another story that guess who personally managed the $9.5 million payment? Then President Les Moonves. So Michael Weatherly being his big star of the network on NCIS, and again, the guys culture that we, the boys club culture at CBS, he orchestrated, and by the way, this is coming, CBS's hits just keep coming, so I guess what I want to ask right now, because
Did he ever apologize? This Michael Bull guy?
Okay, so he did for the New York Times article. The quotes were ranging from, hold on, let me bring you because I want to be accurate.
Because he's their golden boy, right?
Oh, his shows are the highest rated shows. Like, listen, he was like their golden goose. But at the same token, to just think you're saying women need to come forward and feel like she did all the right channels that you possibly could do at a company, and she still was just told there's always these loopholes of like, well, they're on quarterly option contracts, so we're just not picking up your option. But it's like it's all on the up and up. Like Hollywood's clever at that, you know. It's sort of like we don't have a way to write you in now after she reports the lead of the show. But anyway, she got $9.5 million, which would have been
4 episodes.
It would have been
seasons.
It would have been the equivalent of like what she would have got paid if she did become
the
regular. So I just want to read you like Michael, paraphrasing. Michael basically was saying, looking back, that was not very funny. My choice of words.
So he didn't apologize.
He apologized, saying like it was bad. It was in bad taste. Basically, it wasn't funny. Yeah, I think saying I'm going to take you in my rape van is not funny on any.
No, that is just
Do you
not
think it was more
hilarious.
genuine?
Yeah.
Like, do you think it was more genuine about it, like through his apology?
Well, it was in writing. It was in the article, so he didn't actually like get on camera.
And what about the other guy? See, when Daddy or the principal starts saying stuff, and then the other was like, "Yeah, we gonna jump in too." So he said it, and then the camera guy, because you want Daddy to be like, "Yeah, we the boys," and that's what.
Well, even then, when the show was wrapping for the season, that basically they were doing a toast for the final season, but she wasn't coming back at that point because she already knew that she wasn't going to be, because they didn't do the settlement yet, so they're even like backtracking. So Michael Weatherly's doing a toast and says, "Oh, I need a pretty girl to do," and he calls her up there, and basically she's even embarrassed there because he's the star of the show. She has him, and then they embarrass her again within like when they're doing the toast, and she thought it was odd at the time, she said, but she just felt, what do I say? No, I'm not going to walk up there. It's like the star of the show. But he basically did that to kind of like humiliate her again after he was already pissed off that like she went and reported him and stuff. It's just like when you think about that we're in 2018, and I know that Hollywood's gone through this whole like MeToo movement that has started to move the needle. But my question about this CBS thing is what I want to ask everyone is sort of, do you hold on one second.
It's just really crazy.
They're trying to right the ship, right? Because then the day after this article came out, they announced that they were donating some of their $20 million money that Les to like 18 different women advocacy groups. Do you think though? It's enough. Like
what's his punishment? Because other people lose their jobs. Other people
there is none.
You never see him
there
again.
Is none.
Okay, I just want to know what his punishment
Yeah,
was.
but you mean Michael right now? I mean,
yes,
as
because
of this date, there is none.
She may or may not get hired again somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Hers is always because hers is
because then it's like, oh, she's going to be, she'll talk. She's a talker.
Yeah,
and that's more often than not what you hear about these Me Too survivors when we were in the height of it all. The aftermath is even worse. So like the women that came forward and were praised in the initial like for coming forward, that later on, the 12 months later, it actually has damaged them getting new jobs.
Of course.
It's just
repeat victimization.
And the women who are like, I still do it. I'll do that to get that job. You call me up, bull. I'll do that. So it's like.
You pick me up in the rape van. I'll be right on set.
What? I will drive it. There's people who are just like, I'm down for it. So it's all over the place with what a guy really knows what to say or not to say, because so many times it was all right.
It's getting reinforced by other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think then, a little bit in inferring what you just said, that the sisterhood of the Me Too are not sticking together enough, then you say? Because it's like me. Like you're saying, like there's going, that woman doesn't want to be treated like that, but there's the next woman behind her that'll take the job.
I just feel like I'm going to say that men might not be so smart to differentiate, like, oh, this one is okay, because it's different.
Yeah.
You know, that person coming up the ladder be like, I don't mind doing this. He's cute, whatever. I mean, I don't mind that. And then someone else is like, I'm established. I'm just here to work. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, the opportunity's available. They'll just jump right on it. But at the same time, it's also been like curious about, so why do you want to do this job in the first place? Like, did you read the script? Does it align to what you want to do? Because some people pick like, is it aligns with their values, or their ethnic preference as well. So.
Alex, what do you think in terms of, because you just looking at like the social media impact of all of Me Too and TimesUp, and how they have been using like the TimesUp, like we're watching you, Les Moonves, we're like, with the whole severance package that's in question here over the investigation. Do you think there's further things that they need to be doing to still remedy what's going on? in Hollywood with all of these issues.
I think they should have more conversations, like either like panels or conversations like on this show, for example, to bring up like this is pretty a serious matter that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
In the top of all the claims and the documents and the payments and stuff like that, but it still need to be like a focus of discussion for sure.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we got a hashtag. It's all over. Declare victory.
Yeah.
You know, that was the beginning.
trigger.
I mean, this is gonna be an ongoing
exactly.
process for decades.
For decades.
And you need a lot of New York Times reporters out there digging stuff up.
Yeah. They need to double that staff. They'll clean up Hollywood real fast. I mean, Ronan Farrow alone took down Harvey Weinstein.
Did she?
Him. Ronan.
Was Weinstein? Is he taken down?
Well, I mean,
Can't imagine.
he's going to court, but they're fighting some of the claims right now. So the latest reports on him are basically.
Is he in jail? Is it what? Like
no,
what
he's
happened
not
to
in
him?
jail.
They,
He still has
Not
to.
yet. I mean,
not
that's still
yet.
a possibility.
Okay.
It just hasn't
there's
been
so many
adjudicated yet.
cases that it's going to depend on it's like a Bill Cosby situation where what case do they have the evidence to actually. I don't see a universe personally just looking at the case like he's not just going to get a slap on the wrist. I can't imagine.
I can't imagine.
I can't imagine.
There's always that percentage probability.
God.
So
Money talks.
This
BS
whole,
walks.
who knows? Because I used to you did this wrong, you gonna get wronged. But now it's like, oh, you got away with that. Oh, so I just can't predict anymore.
So when you guys saw that article about, have you been following a lot of the Me Too stuff that's been going on?
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Does it shock you about CBS? Had you ever thought that there were those issues at CBS prior to seeing all
those
this?
issues everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Those
every
issues.
industry.
There's probably those issues here. There's issues on YouTube. There's issues in every job where there's someone in power over someone else, and you got to audition for your job. I mean, they have that in acting classes. There's problems, in classrooms, in college. People I want to get a good grade, and the teachers, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I feel like they lent Moonves a lot of credibility because Letterman and even Colbert used to bring him on and play him up if he was in the house. They'd sort of spotlight him and have a fun joke at his expense and stuff because that's Big Daddy, Les or whatever. They made him seem avuncular and cool and stuff.
You
It's
better use your big words. Use your big words. I'm gonna look that up. Avuncular.
Wait.
Cute too.
You're right, though. They did try to oh, Les is such a good guy. The interesting, though, I feel when men are called out for these kinds of things, like Les, I think you can usually tell who knew things before by who immediately sort of goes out there and turns on them versus who is either suspiciously silent or suspiciously. To me, Colbert didn't know that. I really believe that because Colbert, when the stuff broke, was right there to say this is wrong. You can actually look through the Me Too movement and really look at the silence is deafening from certain people, and it's like a giveaway to say you kind of knew something. You did, didn't you? You knew something because it's there's I always said this. There's the people committing the crimes, and there's the executive enablers, and until sort of that whole level of within the ranks is cleaned up, you're still going to have this. So do we think CBS just needs a top to bottom?
I mean, it's all a matter of how fast you want this resolved. And I think that realistically speaking, it's just going to be a long time because all those people have to die off.
Literally die off.
Literally.
Okay, all right.
It's like old white men running stuff, and it's you just have to wait for and
we need all the old white men to just die off. That's what you're saying.
Here's what's tough for me is I feel like I'm crossing over into old territory myself, so I'm I gotta pull myself out.
Not yet, we aren't. We got 10 more years, I think, before that. No, but I do agree with that. I think it's still just, you look at, again, the talent agencies who put the people up for who are the talent agencies run by, who are the studios predominantly run by, who are the movie. They're trying to change it, but it's not changing fast enough. It's just not.
No, it's too woven in.
Yeah.
It's just been a part of, the casting couch kind of thing. It's just been there so long.
There. Yeah, and there's kind of like you said, the older Hollywood types that are just still kind of clinging on to that little bit of relevancy that they have left. They're not going to just let go. It's power, it's power.
And then if you're a person, it's in a frat or sorority who's been, rushed, and then now it's your turn,
you want to rush the
Right.
next people.
Yeah.
So them dying off is like, well, now it's my turn, and I went through all this. You know, you
If I
want
had to
them
pass a record around in my butt cheeks, you got to do it too.
Exactly right. You know, so and there you go. You know.
So I want to circle back to something because we didn't talk about this earlier. Because there were so many depressing things that I wanted to bring.
Yes,
I wanted
thank you
to
for
try
that.
to bring up the energy. I
Thank
was
you
like,
for
oh
that.
my God, we gotta.
I'm so sad right now.
No, I literally am looking at the rundown now. I'm like, wow, this was really depressing.
It was just like sad clowns today.
So let's have some fun at Trump's expense now. So SNL last night. Matt Damon returned,
Yes.
and he spoofed Brett Kavanugh again. Okay, so they did a takeoff of the 1940s. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Trump
Wonderful
life.
Trump. Oh my goodness.
So let's just run this clip and we'll come back on the other side of it.
Me on the Supreme Court? With my temperament? Are you insane? No, they went with that nerd Merrick Garland. But on the plus side, when I tell people I like beer, they find it charming and not like I'm threatening violence. Plus, I have so much more time now to hang out with PJ and Squee and Needle Dick Nick. And no means yes, Nate. Hey, I brought a little present for you. It's a calendar. Every day is a different beer. Thank you, Brett. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's do this.
Okay, so come back. What did you think, Glozell?
Well, I think he does a great job. We love Matt Damon. And part of me goes like, is that bullying? Like when you're picking at people? Like, I don't know. Like,
Oh, because you're I think parody's protected, right?
I mean, you're asking the wrong guy if you're
you
looking
like,
over
it's
here.
parody. We're talking about you if it's fair. So I was just thinking about Pete and also the Saturday. It's all tangled. It's just all tangled. But I thought it was funny.
If you
You
can't
did, it
make
was funny.
honest, I was like, we can't, like, but to your point, like, again, it's like, where are the lines drawn? Am I hurting something? Like, what?
Here's my
I'm looking
line.
at the Trump there.
I got a good one. This is how we draw a line. I feel like if there's evidentiary support to show that you're, quote unquote, in some way, shape, or form, a bad person or doing bad things, then you're fair game. Yeah,
But
you
not
deserve to
everybody
be made
thinks
fun
that
of.
they're doing bad things. Not everybody
Right.
thinks that
I
Trump
mean,
is a bad guy.
Okay.
That's true.
41%
So you
of
think
people
so,
evidently don't
but a
think
lot
so,
of
at least.
people don't. The man is the president, you know?
Yes, he is.
And people on my Facebook are like, he's not all bad, you know, then people jump on him. So there are people who don't agree with that. So that's what
Gotta
came
wait
up
for
for me. That's when it's like,
Should we just forget comedy?
you know,
and
that's
just
what
be
I'm like, we just
comedy's
all be
dead?
sad and just
Do
don't
we
talk
declare
about
it dead?
it's or you can't have your suit. You can't sue people. Then it's either got to be the Wild Wild West. And you say everything, or you just have to tiptoe.
Well, I feel like there's a growing divide there. I think you've got, like everything, there used to be a sort of like, you know, a fair representation of things all along. Now it's like, you know, think of the country economically. It's pretty much just going to be a bunch of billionaires and a bunch of poor people and no one in the middle. And on comedy, it's kind of the same thing. Like, on one end, you're like, I guess we just can't make fun of anything anymore. On the other end, you've got like Jeff Ross and Dave Attell's thing on Netflix that dropped a few weeks ago, and it's hilarious, but it is
It's offensive.
It's serious, yeah.
Jeff Ross is good at those roasts.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
He is good at the
He
roasts.
is, Rosa. How long are we going to be able to keep them? Like, you
Yeah.
can talk about somebody,
The
you can bully
direction.
somebody if it's like this, in this category, and it's a show with this kind of lighting, and if Ross
box.
is there, then it's okay. And if the person you're talking about is sitting right there, and it's okay,
Right.
you know,
Oh my
like,
And that person's
and then
okay
they're
with
depressed.
it.
That's like the consent form before sex.
It really
It's like
right?
craziness.
Oh, God. Okay, the interesting thing you just said about, you hit a point. So Trump got on Twitter after this episode of SNL and was tweeting, rage tweeting about how he's going to look into going after SNL for them not being giving equal time because they're just like a Democratic sounding, like a Democratic megaphone, basically. You didn't, yeah.
He's trying to pull the equal time standard.
Yeah,
with
he's
Sinclair
trying to-
Broadcasting's
which-
out there owning up all the
Which, correct
local
me if
stations.
you know this kind of stuff because you're wonkier than I, which I love.
You
but
are
isn't
wonky.
isn't it true that parody is like protected by that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So SNL's not a news show.
Equal time is when you've got two candidates who
But
have.
news shows are not news shows anymore.
Some of them.
Sometimes like
Yeah.
reboots, you know.
Very polarized. Yeah.
I'm listening.
It's not shocking to me that he doesn't understand the concept of equal time. So he's just out there always talking about stuff he has no understanding of at all.
What do you think, Alex?
My thing is like it's always been reactive. Like he'll like you think he'll be focusing on like more of the stuff for the country, for the better good for the country,
Yes.
but being more reactive to like the show business side. You think it'd be like that would be
Always.
to one side. So I don't know. It's always like back and forth, but it's like you know you like
You wouldn't
Glozell
talk about
said,
the Queen, would you?
like the Queen, but people. There's comedy about the Queen too. You know, that's very true.
You mean like on
Yeah,
Twitter?
people are like, she's so dumb. People don't, because there's a respect there.
Yeah.
But
She also
There's
doesn't
a
do
reason.
anything. You know what I mean? She gets out there, she's very gracious and all that stuff. There's not really anything to pick at with the Queen.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, she's not controversial.
right.
I mean, Trump is tweeting about just like stuff that like has nothing to do with like a president tweeting about.
He's our first Kardashian president.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Any final thoughts from any of you before we?
it's over already.
Why you want to stay longer?
This was really deep. I
Hey,
really enjoyed it.
We going in overtime?
Conversation.
Because I'm like, it's just crazy. The world is crazy.
Then actually, no. Before we leave, then why don't you tell us a little something you're working on, or something that our viewers should check out? Anything?
Well, I do have Wreck-It Ralph in the theaters, which does talk about what we talked about today as far as cyberbullying and
Yes.
things about the computer. And also make sure you check out my YouTube channel. My sister is mouthing something. What? Oh, okay, that's what I said. Wreck-It Ralph. And make sure you follow me on all my social media so you can see what I'm talking about. Glozell everywhere. Instagram, YouTube.
How about you, Alex? Something our viewers, something that's caught your fancy?
And
or
you're getting
anything?
ready to move. And
Yeah, I'm
yes,
moving.
I'm excited.
I'm going to Austin. I'm pretty excited.
New
to
job, new
Texas,
opportunities.
doing new things.
For a new opportunity. So you're leaving Bravo.
So yeah, I'll be at the I'm in, end of my contract with them
Okay.
at the end of the year, and so I can move into that and focus more on like more social good, positive things and
Social action, sort of advocacy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, right on, right on.
Yeah.
Anything like movie you've seen or you want to recommend or TV show?
He wants to
anything?
recommend Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, there we go.
Ralph breaks the internet.
Ralph
Wrecks the
Wreck-It
internet.
Ralph wrecks the internet.
Yes, for sure. Yes. Thank you, Alex, for that.
Of course.
Jordan,
I like the
can you
first one,
please tell
do the second
viewers
one.
where they can find Meet the Hollywood Press?
Oh, good Lord.
Or do I need to tell
You
them?
might
Why
have
don't
to
I
take
tell
it.
them?
Just make sure we get it right.
Viewers can find Meet the Hollywood Press on AfterBuzz TV, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify also, which I just realized myself. I didn't even know we were on Spotify. I was like, oh, my podcast is on Spotify.
Congratulations.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Meet the Hollywood Press, except Twitter. Somebody has our handle, which I'm coming for you. So it's on Twitter. On all of them. It's at Meet the Hollywood Press. On Twitter, it's at Meet the HWD Press. Thank you both for stopping
Thank
in.
you.
Jordan,
Have me back. I enjoy
absolutely.
myself.
Thank you for taking over
Thank
duties
you.
for the
Thank
lovely
you.
Alina, and we'll see you next week.
Get well soon. Bye-bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.